This 60-year-old with severe Fuchs dystrophy had held out, didn't want to get his transplant until there was central edema. I usually use a little myostat, a little Helon, and using the MST device, sort of punch through a inferior iridotomy. I have the Siepser luminary probe, which is a light pipe I normally use here. There's too much glare in this commercially available light pipe, but under Helon, I'm able to really clearly see Descemet's membrane by using scleral scatter. There's a little burnout here with the light being a little too intense, but underneath the microscope, it increases the ability to see the Descemet's membrane quite clearly. I pre-mark the cornea at 8 millimeters, consistent with my graph, just using a caliper at 8 and centering it around the pupillary aperture. Here we are gathering and doing a peripheral desmetorrhexis and following our scoring and keeping the Descemet's membrane one piece so I can be sure I've removed all of Descemet's membrane centrally. Here it goes through the wound, and I do verify that by just putting it on the cornea and unfolding it, and there we can see we have absolutely complete Descemet's removal. There we move that out of the field, and then remove all the Helon carefully, being sure it's completely removed in this case. Then prepare the DMEK graph and carefully attaching the syringe. The graft material has been soaking in balanced salt to remove any of the transport media. I bring it up into the thinner part of the Guder tube, and then once we're comfortable, get the chamber very flat, inject into the eye, and sort of twist it a little bit as I remove it so it doesn't follow out. Here, Dr. Seiss has carefully outlined a really great method of tapping the graft into position and using sort of fluid waves to move it. And also you can actually go to the other side and draw it into position using a rebound technique. Once I have the graft well centered, I enter the eye with an air cannula, put in a small amount of air just to keep things in position while I go around carefully hydrating each of the wounds. There's 4 in this case, and you have to be careful not to go into the eye because that'll disturb the graft itself and spin it around and spin it out of position. So very gently and carefully hydrating each of the small incisions then gives me a firm anterior chamber, and I can proceed ahead to adding the perfluorocarbon, which will give us a nice firm globe and keep the graft in place.